In this episode of the Well Aware podcast, we sit down with Matthew McManus, a financial advisor for Triplecrown Wealth Management, to explore the connection between financial stress and recovery. With the holidays often bringing added pressure around money, Matthew shares insights on how financial strain can impact our mental health, along with practical financial literacy tips to help listeners navigate this season with confidence. Let's get started.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Well Aware podcast. So happy to have you spending time with us today. I'm Dr. Lauren, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Medical Officer here at Aware Recovery Care. And we have a special holiday episode today. And in honor of that, I'm joined by a super cool guy, Matt McManus. He is one of the founding partners of Triplecrown Wealth Management. He's a super passionate financial advisor who's also in long-term recovery and has helped thousands of individuals achieve financial freedom. So he really comes with, I think, Matt, you have a really important vantage point of financial management through the lens of recovery and how to keep both of those things in mind. So let's dive right in and get started. Tell us a little bit just about yourself in general and in your experience, how financial stress can manifest for folks in recovery.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I think to understand where financial stress comes into people's lives, and my point of view to all this, we got to take a step back to when I was 31 years old. I was at my very low point in life, and at that juncture, I was lonely, I was depressed. I was suicidal. I had a net worth of a negative $130,000, meaning I owed a lot of people a lot of money. And my outlook was really bleak. And for what, for the way I dealt with the stress, the way I dealt with my money problems was through avoidance. Right. It was much easier for me to go down to happy hour and get the dollar domestics and forget about my problems for a couple of hours versus me actually doing the work and meeting the problems head on. So my financial stress manifested itself in addiction. Now, to give people kind of the full scope of things here and to be able to give you guys some context of the journey I've been on, that was at age 31. Now I'm 42. I've been sober for 5.5 years. I'm married now, and I've built up a net worth in the multiple millions of dollars. And that was because I chose to take ownership of the problems. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today aren't going to get you to these higher levels, but what people can do is if we start stacking little win after little win after little win, and we keep building on the tools and the skill sets that we have, the sky's the limit for anyone. And so being able to go through this journey myself and live it from both sides of the coin now, I think it does give me a unique perspective in the world of finance and wellness as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for being so honest. I think it's unusual that we find folks in positions of leadership and power who are also just really empathically and transparently honest about their journey. So that's really helpful too. Why do you think holiday expenses and expectations in particular tend to worsen that pre-existing financial stress?
Yeah, I think this is especially true in families, because we as parents, we want to give our kids everything, right? We want to give them the greatest Christmas presents ever. We want to make sure that their childhood was better than the childhood that we had. And oftentimes we feel that pressure to take it to the next step. And whether that means buying more Christmas presents for the kids, or whether that means going on bigger vacations than what you did, I think that adds to it. And then also, when we're doom scrolling on social media, Lauren, like so many of us are guilty of doing, going through Facebook or Instagram and seeing the other things that maybe our friends are doing or acquaintances are doing, that adds to the pressure too. And I think people start to feel that. And if they don't have a plan, if they're not prepared for the holidays, then it is easy to overspend very, very quickly. And that's where I think a lot of folks get into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I think you could not be more right about the illusion of social media really magnifying unrealistic expectations. And I say illusion because I think most of us logically know, like, somebody's life as it appears on social media probably does not match exactly the reality. And yet we still hold ourselves sometimes to expectations that others have created for us. For
Mhm.
someone listening who's feeling overwhelmed just about the possibility and the prospect of holiday bills or pressures, what's a good first place to start in getting some of that control back?
I think the best place to start is knowing um, that Christmas is not a surprise, right? And what I mean by that is, for the last 2,000 years, Christmas has fallen on the exact same day year after year after year. We all know December 25th is that day, right? At no point is the Vatican going to come out and say, "Hey, surprise, guys, guess what? Christmas is now on August 14th," right?
Yeah.
And now you got to scramble to make those changes. It doesn't work that way. So what we tell people, and what our family does, is as soon as December 26th comes around, we start saving, we start planning for the holiday season. And that's incumbent upon you, or you and your spouse, to go ahead and set that budget and say, okay, we're going to spend X number of dollars for the next Christmas season. And for some people, it might be 3,000 that they're going to spend. For other families, it might be 5,000. For others, it might be 2,000. But whatever your number is, take it, divide it by 12, and now you have your budget for the rest of the year. So, for example, if me and my wife agreed that we're going to spend $3,000 on Christmas present next year, that means we have to save $250 each and every month in order to get to our goal. Now, I'm not going to stop there, Lauren, because in my family, especially on my wife's side, my mother-in-law is great at this. She believes that Christmas shopping is a full contact sport. So she will shop year round for the kids. Now, a lot of times what that means is she's going to go out to these department stores and she's going to look for deals in off season. So if the kids, let's say, need some new winter clothes for the following year, she's going to go out to these department stores in April and May and June, when they're trying to dump excess inventory for pennies on the dollar. And she will buy this stuff throughout the year, and then she will just stick it in her closet and wait until Christmas comes around. So even though she's budgeted appropriately for it, she might spend some of it earlier in the year. But doing it this way has always allowed her to stretch her dollars a lot further than what she has in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And then one other thing, and I do this. Sorry, what was that?
Oh, I said she probably gets some good deals too, to your point.
Oh, without question. We affectionately call her Coupon Connie because she does such a great job at sniffing out these deals. And then one other thing that I want to encourage people to do is download a reminder app, or download a list app on your phone, and put that on your phone. So if you're walking through your store with your kid and they say, "Hey, I like that toy," or "Hey, this dress looks really pretty," well, you can put that in your list. And what that'll do, Dr. Grauert, is it'll keep you from kind of mindlessly or just trying to buy the perfect gift, right? So now you're armed with all this great information when you walk in the store, and that'll really help people stick to their plan.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of budgeting along the way, in particular, because in 2025 there's no shortage of credit card companies that would love to take your money and charge 25% interest. There's even a brand new one. It's a brand new one where you can buy like a burrito on layaway. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
crazy, just taking advantage, I think, of that in the moment mindset. So I really like that idea of, like, start from January, budget out, so you have the money when you're ready to spend it, versus a credit card and then you're paying that, plus some. That's really good.
Yeah, and one thing that these credit cards know, and one thing that I can't say the company name, but we all get their boxes on our front porch with the big smile on it. One thing that they are so good at, that we all take for granted, is that they eliminate the friction in the buying process, and they just make it so easy to get whatever you want whenever you want. And that's another thing that we just always have to be on the lookout for.
That's a really important point I had not thought about because, 20 years ago when you and I were little, I mean, I'm a 1983 baby as well. So go 42. But
Same. Yeah.
you had to like get in the minivan and drive 25 minutes down the road to Walmart. It was a lot of like activation energy to do that, which maybe was protective in a way in terms of like your parents aren't going out all the time to get stuff. Whereas you're right, man, click of a button. And my son, my 8-year-old, ordered something yesterday, 2 p.m. and it was on our doorstep with a little smile at 6 p.m. So I hadn't thought about that as another vulnerability to overspending, but you're definitely right. Well, speaking of, you often talk about a financial mindset and awareness. What does that look like daily, and why is it particularly valuable in recovery?
Man, that's a great question. I think we all need to be mindful of all of our habits, regardless if it's financial, physical, nutrition, whatever arena you want to pick, because all of our choices are going to have trade-offs in some way, shape, or form, and especially in recovery. I think one of those things. So one of the things in recovery, again, it goes back to what I was talking about originally, is that we need to start stacking these wins after little win after little win after little win, and being mindful, being cognizant of our behavior and understanding of how it is going to affect things down the road. That's a great skill set. That's a great thing to practice every day. Listen, I know if I have a sip of alcohol today, 6 weeks down the road, I'm going to be a total mess. There is no way I'm going to be able to hit that stop button.
Mm-hmm.
And, same thing with money. If we decide that we're just going to live in the now and we're going to spend everything that we have and live paycheck to paycheck, you're going to be robbing your future in some capacity, whether it's buying other things, whether it's going on vacation, or whether it's saving for retirement. Everything that we have today is going to have an impact down the road. And I think if we can adopt that mindset, that long-term thinking, that's going to save us some short-term pain.
Yeah. It sounds like you're talking about really the importance of having a future-oriented mindset. And how would you say, so far we've talked a lot about kind of things you as an individual can do. What would you say to some family members, maybe who are trying to support somebody in recovery and they want to help that person build stronger financial habits, and they're trying to do so without any pressure or judgment? What would be some advice to them?
Well, first, I think it's going to be incumbent upon the person who is wanting to make that change to go ahead and have those hard conversations with their family members, and being very explicit about how you want to be supported. Okay. So, let's say, for example, that you're trying to get your finances in order, and maybe you can't get gifts for the entire extended family, for all your nieces and nephews this year. Go ahead and have that conversation with your siblings and just say, hey, look, guys, here's the situation I'm in. I really can't afford to do this right now. Here's what I'm building towards. Would it be okay if we did something a little bit different this year?
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? If they're sane people, if they love you like they truly say they love you, of course they're going to support you, right? Or if maybe you're struggling with drinking and you say, hey, Dr. Grauert, I really want to come to your party this year, but I can't bring that bottle of Merlot because I that's really going to make me want to drink. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you're going to be like, hey, Matt, you know what, since you're not bringing this bottle, you're violating all the social norms and you can't come. And by the way, you're not allowed back for the rest of the Christmases for the rest of eternity. right? You're not going to get something that crazy. So I think just having that conversation early on is really going to help people understand where you're at, and even give them the tools and resources and the knowledge that they need to support you. And I'll even, if you don't mind, can I share a personal story with you?
Please.
Yeah. So early in my recovery, I got sober June 21st, 2020. And so I hadn't seen a lot of my colleagues in quite some time, and they were everybody was getting together for a Christmas party. And these were some of my closest friends in the world. We hadn't seen each other in months, but I also knew, this was going to be a real test. And so I waited until after the party started, and I'm getting text after text after text. Hey, Matt, come to the bar. Matt, we really miss you. We'd love to see you. And I really wanted to go. I truly did. And so I got in my car. I started the car, and you know what I did?
Right.
I sat there and I just cried.
Mm.
I cried because I knew I didn't have the energy. I knew I didn't have the capacity to go down there and see the people, even though I really wanted to. But I also knew my sobriety was going to be in jeopardy at that point if I would have gone to the party. So what I did instead, I went back. I went to my house. I worked out, and I sent them a text, and I just said, "Hey, look, guys, I'd really love to see you. This is what I'm going through." And you know what? Everybody was super supportive, and they said, "Hey, no worries. We'll find another time to get together." So we ended up finding some time with all the individuals to go out to lunch. But it was one of those things. I had that hard conversation, so I didn't put myself in a compromising situation. And I would encourage anybody who's going through changes like that to go ahead and have those conversations, because things will get easier for you in the future.
I love that. So the idea of first of all, thank you for sharing that with us. And the idea of putting realistic expectations or boundaries out there in the universe ahead of time to avoid disappointment, either disappointment for yourself or for others. But one thing about your story that really strikes me is almost like, because you have experience having those conversations, I wonder if it makes it easier to have those conversations financially. Like you have had to put yourself in those hard positions and say no to something that would be great in the moment, but would be disastrous long term. It sounds like there's so many parallels to financial, where whether it's having a conversation with yourself internally or your loved one, you can use the same skill almost.
Yeah. And it is funny. I was doing a podcast this morning with another individual, and we were talking about how the wellness arena, whether it's physical, mental, spiritual, financial, relational, they're all interconnected. And once you get the skill set, and once you have the building blocks in one area, you can apply it to every single other area. And it's got this beautiful waterfall effect. And so for some people, maybe it's once they get better at their mental health, then their physical health improves. And once their physical health improves, maybe their relationships improve. And once their relationship improves, maybe their finances improves, and so on and so forth. So you're 100% right. There's all kinds of parallels. There's all kinds of overlap. And again, we just got to take the time to slowly build up these skills and stack up these wins so that we can keep progressing up the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah. I love that. For those who are listening who might be early in their recovery journey, what specific guidance would you offer them around juggling emotional healing and financial pressures at once?
Yeah, and this kind of goes back to the story that I just shared with you. I'd like to tell people, go where the momentum is, okay? And what I mean by that here, I'll give you this great visual. Have you ever taken 3 tennis balls and thrown them at your dog? And the dog will just kind of bounce from one to the other and back and forth, and eventually he'll just drop all 3 and totally lose interest. We as humans do the exact same thing, to where if we are trying to get better in the emotional arena, get better in the financial arena, and we try to take on all this change at once, well, guess what happens? We get tired, we get confused, and we end up wearing ourselves out, and then we go lay down, and no change has ever taken place. So you really have to figure out, hey, what's going well for me? Where is an area, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, what can I do, or what area can I focus on in order to keep that momentum going? And so in the story I gave you, that area for me was the gym. And I went home and I worked out, and I was able to get past my problems. For other people, it might be going to church. For other folks, it might be calling their sponsor. For other people, it might be calling their financial advisor for some advice. So it doesn't matter, where the momentum's coming from. Just continue to ride that wave until you're able to take that next step.
I like it. And prioritize too, it sounds like you can't get all the tennis balls at once. So what do you already have momentum towards? Follow that kind of to the end. So such good advice in a very frenetic, fast-paced 2025 American world. Yeah. Well, as we're wrapping up here, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want our listeners to know as an important take home that we didn't cover?
Yeah, one other thing I wanted to share, and it's another story, again, if you don't mind, a personal story. I wanted to let people know what the most meaningful and impactful Christmas present I ever got. So I'll tell you what that was. But the holidays are very stressful for a lot of people for a variety of different reasons. And so I think if we kind of go into that with our eyes wide open and understand, hey, this might not be the greatest of time for all people, we can be more sympathetic to anybody who might be going through the change. And my brother, my older brother, was actually the one who gave me the best Christmas present ever. It was going back, and I'm bringing this full circle. But it was back when I was at that age, 30, 31 years old. And it was Christmas time. My business was barely hanging on by a thread. And I was living with my brother at the time, and I owed him $350 for rent for December. And Dr. Grauert, I had to go to him hat in hand, and we were drinking beers at the time. And I said, Mike, I'm sorry, buddy. I don't have the money. I am flat broke. I'm paying all this money to credit cards, student loans, car payments. I did not have a good month in business that year. I said, I can't pay you, buddy. And he goes, don't worry about it. I got you. He's a very nonchalant guy. But what that did was it bought me one more month I could stay in business, Doc. And that's when the momentum started to build. I strung together a decent January, started getting some good momentum in February, and we've built and built and built and built ever since. And in fact, my business revenue is 12x from where we were then to where we are now, and we're in a much better spot. But him being willing to just waive that rent money for that 1 month, knowing I was in a very, very dire spot, is easily the most memorable and the most impactful gift anybody's ever given me.
Wow. Never underestimate the power that small acts of kindness can have, it sounds like, and that the power of those small acts that can ultimately build to snowball and waterfall momentum moving forward. Wow. I hope he listens to the podcast and hears it, because it's touching to hear your perspective on it, and to hear, how important it was to you, and what a difference that made in your life.
I'll make him listen to it. He's an over the road trucker, so I know he's got all the time in the world to listen to it. So I'll send him to it. I'll send it to him once it's out.
Well, Matt, where can our listeners find you and follow you in Triplecrown Wealth? What's the best way for them to follow you?
Yeah, so if they want to go to our website at www.triplecrownwm.com, WM's for Wealth Management, they can get to know us a little bit better. I do have some more personal information there. They can follow me on LinkedIn as well as Facebook. I am at both Matthew McManus, financial professional or friend to first responders. I do spend a lot more time on LinkedIn than I do Facebook. So I'm very active on that platform. So if anybody wants to connect with me or shoot me a message there, you'll find me hanging out on LinkedIn most days.
Perfect. Well, we so appreciate you being here today and sharing your tips and your journey with our listeners. Super valuable, and just being like brutally honest. That's so refreshing. I think your perspective really reinforces the importance of supporting every part of somebody's life, and to your point, how interconnected all of those parts of life are. Financial being just as important as other aspects, physical, spiritual, things like that. So it's really been wonderful having you on the podcast. And that's all for today's episode of the Well Aware podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. We're available anywhere you get your podcast. Have a great day.
Equitable Advisors, LLC, and its affiliates are not affiliated with the Well Aware podcast. Clinton Kirsting and Matthew McManus offer securities through Equitable Advisors, LLC, member SIPC, Equitable Financial Advisors in Michigan and Tennessee, and offer annuities and insurance through Equitable Network, LLC. Equitable Advisors and its affiliates do not provide tax or legal advice. Financial professionals may offer products and services and/or respond to inquiries only in states in which they are properly registered and/or licensed. This podcast does not constitute financial advice or an offer of any kind. Triplecrown Wealth Management, LLC is not owned or operated by Equitable Advisors or Equitable Network.